Hello and welcome to IT Security Labs. Today we have a machine called Magician from Tryhackme. This was created by Monster77 and Rip Curls. It's a wonderful machine that will teach us ethical hacking as beginners. It's rated as easy, so this should not take us a long time, but we should learn a lot from it. My IP address is 10.10.97.136. So the first thing that I like to do is start by just pinging the machine, make sure that check to see if it's responding to ping or not. In this case it is. So after that we run nmap -sv -sc. This will scan the top 1000 ports and let us know if there are any ports within that range that are open, and also tell us the service versions using default scripts. So if we run that, after a little bit you will notice that we get some results just like this. First thing that you notice is that we have FTP, which is open on port 21, which you always want to see if it anonymous login is enabled or not. But we also have port 8080 and a lot of information here, and then port 8081. So we know that we have a few interesting ports, especially 8080 and 81. The box did say that we needed to deploy and make sure that at least we have in the etc host file that we have the name Magician. So let's go and fix that to make sure that we actually account for the change that they're suggesting. So if we go to etc host, they want us to add Magician in here, which as you can see I have an entry for, but we need to update this IP address to the right IP address of the machine. So let's go and copy that, and in here that's the entry that we should have. Let me just make it look nicer. You don't have to do that, but now that we did that, if we go to a browser, any web browser, in this case I'm going to use Google Chrome, and go to HTTP. Let's check 8080 first. Magician on port 8080. We should see the site. Alright, it says this application is no exploit mapping for error, so you are seeing a fallback, whatever that means. That's for port 80. From our nmap we saw port 8081, so let's go check that one out as well. Port 8081, and this one gives us an application which is interesting with a Magician and PNG to JPEG converter. It works like magic. So that's our tag, and it says we can upload PNG files here. So let's just do that and go to our downloads. I have flowers.png, which is just a PNG file of flowers. Let's upload it and see if it takes it. Okay, I see flowers.jpg, so it's converting my PNG to JPEG like it says it does. So this is very interesting. The first thing that when we have image upload is we try to see if we can intercept this request with Burp Suite, and then let's try to upload something like a PHP file instead. So let's see if I have any PHP files anyway. Let's go to my downloads and see if I have a PHP file. I have a sh.php, which is just empty right now, but I think we can fix that. All we need to test is can we get a PHP file in there or not. So let's try that. It looks like it's not even browsing to PHP files, it's just browsing to PNG files. So at this point I'm like, okay, this I guess it looks like it doesn't work to upload anything other than PNG, which is okay, because after playing with it for a little bit, you will notice that there are measures in place where it will not take anything other than PHP files anywhere. So in that case, let me just check one more. Yeah, I have this here, which is a PNG that is laced with PHP. So if we open that and hit upload, we will try to intercept it. That PNG has a reverse shell for PHP. So let's change that. It says download shark.php. I'm just trying to see if I can get this to go. Let's send it to repeater to make sure that we can see the response, and send. Okay, so it says message uploaded file successfully, download sh.php. Okay, so in that case, let's set our proxy. It did upload our PHP here, and if we open it, what happens? So let's see if it will open. All right. So in that case, we saw that we were able to upload a PHP file. So the traditional way would be, okay, let's go and upload a PHP reverse shell. So I have one that I want to copy from root sh.php. I want it to come in here as shell1.php png. Okay, it's shell1. I'll show you what it looks like. All right, so this is a pentest monkey PHP reverse shell, and the traditional way will be, let's change it to make sure that it is our IP address for reverse shell. In this case, this is my Tryhackme 10.258 reverse shell on port 53. That's my IP address. So let's upload that and make sure that we get a reverse shell. But before that, let's turn interception on. We're just trying to get our PHP shell here. So now that I did that, we can come here and say shell1.png.php. If I hit upload, it'll pop up. There is our PHP reverse shell. Then let's convert. If you look here, you see that we're getting different referrers. Let's convert the name to just be PHP, because we want to upload a PHP file. But let me send this to repeater, because I like to be able to see what I'm doing here. Okay. So it will be shell1.php that I'm sending right now. Send. All right, it was successful. So let's start a listener since we're already here. Netcat -lv np to listen on 5353. If that actually works, we should come here. And if I refresh this, I should see shell1.php. If I can find that file, I should get a reverse shell. That's the traditional way of doing this with images. But this one looks like it's an interesting one. In that case, let's send it again. Upload successful. And I'm going to turn my proxy off so I can see my images here. Right, shell1.php. So if I click this, it should phone to my phone back. In this case, it's downloading the file. And my listener is not getting anything, as you can see. It's just downloading me the file. So it's not executing on the system. Nothing much is happening there. So I did spend some time here playing around with it. It doesn't work with this way, but if you ever see this, what works is I just came and said, okay, after doing this for a little bit, I checked the source page, trying to see if I can see anything interesting in there. There's nothing. I was like, okay, let's just find out what kind of technology is behind this. PNG to JPEG converter. What do people do with this? In fact, what if I just type exploit? Is this even just a well-known application that I'm just missing here? And that led me to ImageMagick, which reminded me the name of the machine is Magician, and now somehow I'm seeing this ImageMagick with a available exploit on exploit.db and a bunch of other places. Then I was like, okay, that's good. Let's use Git. I like to find this from Git. So this leads me to this right here. And if you read about this exploit, it will tell you how it works and how you can upload things. But that's not what I want. I just want a reverse shell. In this case, that was fake image. I want ImageMagick because that's what I'm going for. Because this says Magician, so how about we do ImageMagick? So let's click on that one, and this is some really good documentation from this creator. If we read through this, they actually have a video that shows you how to exploit this, which is really great. But pretty much what they're saying is, if we create a PNG file with this payload here, we should be able to get a reverse shell in theory. So you can then just read about the exploit and it will tell you exactly what it's doing. But in this case, let's go ahead and clear. Go ahead and you can use maybe vi exploit.png. This is the way it should work. All right, so if you have an exploit.png like that, if we touch this and upload this to the site, it will execute the command touch and create a temp file called hacked, but that will not do us any good for that. So that was the first part here. We want the reverse shell, so we get this right here. Reverse.png. Instead of reverse.png, we add that text, and in this case, instead of leaving that text the way it was, I added my IP address here and the port to listen on. So that's what we have here, my tunnel IP address in port 5353. So reverse.png, if I listen here on port 5353, I should, in theory, be able to come here and upload reverse.png and get a shell. Open, upload. By just uploading without doing anything, I should get a shell. But as you can see, it's not working. So this is where persistence comes in place. I was like, wow, this cannot be right. This is not even giving me anything, but it's actually working. It's uploading it. So I was like, okay, the name of the application is Magician. So ImageMagick exploitation is the way to go. So what I need to do is maybe find somebody with a better payload for our target than this one. Maybe something to do with encryption, maybe something. So let's go to exploit all things. That's like a big repository for exploits, or payloads all things, not exploit all things, payload all things. That's like our buffet of exploits for pretty much everything. So let's look for variable image uploads, because I've used some of these before. I can just do Command F, image yeah, upload insecure files right here. All right, then we can look up for the name that of the application. So here again, we're seeing the same deal. So what's up with that? So this is the same thing that I had there, but this one looks different. Saying fill test.jpg bash, and it has a separate bash command. So I guess this one will work. It's the same thing. It's the same idea, really. So let me stop that. vi exploit .png. All right. The only difference is I it just happened to have a different command here. Let's change our IP address. My attacker IP is my tunnel IP, so IPA, that should give me my tunnel. All right, attacker port, let's just put all 4s here because that's what everybody uses. 4444444. Now I messed it up. Slash attacker port. Okay. All right. So I just have, and then this time we have a touch hello, which is interesting. So let's save this exploit.php. Let's copy exploit .png to exp1.png. I'm just renaming it so that when I upload it, at least it's not the same name. Okay. Let's remove that. Now let's go back to that site. But before I upload it, let me do my netcat minus lvnp on 44444. That's one more time. Let's do that. exp1 open, upload. So that succeeded. And look at that. So it almost worked. It did a redirect for me, but this one is promising. So I just need to fix that exploit code, make sure that it actually works. But it almost worked. So let me try that again, just in case. With exp1. Okay, so this will probably not work because I already have one with that name. So let's create and copy it again. I'm going to copy it to 2. Start my listener. Go back here. Browse to exp2. So I'm curious what happened. Why did it redirect me? All right, ambiguous redirect. So it doesn't like something within my exploit. So let's vi exploit.png. So fill that URL bash to that touch hello. So somehow it doesn't like this, which is interesting. But that's what I found from here. All right. I think I found another option. So in the insecure uploads file, it's just a matter of stabilizing that shell. In this case, let's choose let me see, picture image. So we do have a folder for that exploit with a ton more. You can try a lot more here, but let's choose one. This is where you can find some that are encrypted and all that good stuff. So that's why I really like this one. So let me open this one in specific. And in this case, you see I'm getting it. It's the same idea, but just a different payload, just in case. So let's get this one instead of what we've been putting out there. And this one actually works. So this is where persistence might be a good thing. Let's do. And I learned this from local file inclusions, because you have to try everything once you know that things work. In this case, we just need to change our IP address here to 192.168. No. What am I doing? It's my tunnel IP address, not 192. To that, then let's put a space right here. Let's save. So this is just a different payload for the same exact exploit. I'm assuming this is what the OSCP is like. Then I'll copy it to 3. And I'll set a netk at least now on minus LV. Let me clear the screen here. Netk minus LVNP on 4444. This time, let's go back. Yeah, that was 444. So this should work this time with this payload. This took me longer than it should have, but it was just a matter of finding the right payload. Maybe there was something I could have done to the one that kept failing for me. I'm not sure, but I put quotes and all that stuff, but it didn't work. So if I upload this one, we do get a stable connection. So payloads of all things, that location is really helpful because it has payloads for the same exact thing in one place. So payload all things, great site. As you can see, we have all kinds of things here. So next time you see this application, maybe look for reverse shell with encryption, file exfiltration, and all that stuff. One of these will work for you. So now that I have a reverse shell here, time to stabilize it. Reverse shells. Let's copy that and paste it here. And then let's make sure that export terminal is there so that the shell is even more stable. So what I do is I do an ls minus la from where I get a land in there, and this is my uploads folder, and I'm assuming it's all those uploads that I was doing. Yeah. So if I do an ls here, you see all my trials, like, hey, different shells and stuff like that. So nothing interesting there. Back here, this file here is called 994 read write for Magician. I'm already Magician, so what is in this 994? Is it a file? What is it? All this stuff here. I spent some time looking at this. Doesn't really lead to anything. cd/home. Let's look at other users. ls minus la. It's just Magician. So we are. Do we have any history? This one is going to dev now anyway. This is where we find our user.flag, so you can capture this. Sudo is admin successful. Let's check this. What does sudo is admin successful mean? Is that a file? It says permission denied. Not sure what this, I cannot execute it because it's not an executable, but whatever this, we can keep it in our mind right now. Let's do our privilege escalation. And for me, the first place to start is GDA4 bins. In this case, let's check for SUIDs by running that one. This will tell us if there are any files, or I mean applications or anything that's running with SUIDs. And in this case, I thought this one had SUIDs, and turns out not. Everything else looks normal from what I've seen. And I also looked at this one. I was like, what is this? They don't lead to anything. So here is where you might want to put a tool that will do most of enumeration for you, like linps, enum for Linux. I like to do a little bit of more enumeration before I bring in any tools, such as cron tab. Am I running any jobs? Cron tab -L. Am I running any jobs as musician? No. So now that I did that, I don't see anything. Let's just check for any ports. Let's see if there are any ports that we're listening on. In this case, what do I use? If I go to ports, let's use netstat. This will show me if there are any interesting Docker containers, anything like that. You could have found this with linps, linenum, or enum for Linux, one of those tools. But as you can see, we have port 53, which is listening, which sometimes this might be just local DNS. This thing is acting as a DNS to applications. 8080 we already know, 21 we already know. 666 we don't know what that is. 53 is DNS, so for now we'll hold off on that, but this one is very interesting. This application is listening locally on 666. Like I said, linps would have found this for you. You would have been like, hey, what's going on? In this case, since I have this port that's listening, I'm going to use port forwarding. And because I don't have SSH keys, usually I do SSH tunnels, but without SSH tunnels, that's kind of a problem. So we kind of need to use Chisel. So if you don't know what Chisel is this tool that you can have here by this user. I like to use this one from this creator, because it will show you how to create and set up Chisel. So go to this site here if you haven't used Chisel and really follow the documentation. It will show you how to download from Git and also how to make it work. But in this case, as you can see, you just need to set up a server on your Kali, then a client on your machine, and it will create a tunnel for you. And here's how my tunnel looks like. And that's the same documentation. I'm going to make sure that I forward that port starting from this machine. So to save us some time here, I'll show you what works here. First, I need to come to my Kali Linux. I have a forwarder called Chisel, following those instructions that I just showed you. And then you need to run the go command to be able to create Chisel. So first, we need to host an HTTP server here, so we can move Chisel to our victim machine, so we can have a client. So let's go to my file transfer. I'm going to use Python simple HTTP. I'm running it from within the Chisel directory on port 80. Then here I'll come use wget or curl. Let's try wget HTTP. And then we need our IP address, of course. We need the tunnel IP address. Then we do that. We want to get Chisel, the application. And this shouldn't take too long. It's kind of like it's not that big of a file, but it takes a couple of seconds here to get to our victim machine. And Chisel is a very good, especially if you don't have SSH access, because SSH tunnels, they might need authentication. And I might try to create a key here if I wanted to, but why do that when we can just use Chisel? So right now Chisel doesn't have executable permissions. We need to say plus executable. Now we can execute, and then here is the command that I'm just going to run from here. Since I own this space, I'm saying run Chisel. I'm going to run this and connect. In this case, we're going to say connect to this machine, which is my Kali Linux IP address, port 4343, remote port is 4433, and I'll show you what this looks like. In this case, 4343 is what creates the client server relationship. Then we want to map 666 to 4433. That's exactly what Chisel is going to do. So with that in mind, let's go to our Kali Linux in the same directory where Chisel is located. Let's go here. We already got Chisel there, so we don't need the Python server anymore. So run Chisel, and we're going to say we're going to be in server mode, reverse in this case. So we're going to listen on 4343. If I do that, I'm listening on 4343. Come back here. We establish the connection. So Chisel connected back to my machine on port 4343 and mapped 666 to 4433. These are just random numbers that I was picking. So if I go here and say local host, and I want to be on 4433, that's the port that I'm mapping from 666. I'm able to get here. Interesting location, the Magic Cat. That's the application that was listening there. So enter file name, etc pass wd, submit. All right, what is this? Is this base 64? Is this what? We need to figure out what this is. If it's base 64, we can just decode it and be able to see what is this. Yeah, you see that equal sign there, so that means it's base 64. We can quickly decode that in Kali. Let's stop this listening. If we just type echo and then put that in here, then we end that and pipe it to base 64 minus D. You'll notice that there we go. We have the magician user. We don't have other interesting users to pivot to, but at least we can see that. So let's go back and see etc. By the way, if we run it again, it changes. So this time it gives us binary numbers. So this, the more you run it, you get different types of encoding or cryptographic algorithms being triggered. If we submit it again, it will give us something else. So let's go to shadow, then it will be a done deal if we can see. So it's a shadow. It looks like we got another base 64. I hope it's base 64, but if it's giving me the shadow file, that means that this thing is already running as root. This time it doesn't look like base 64. So whatever this is, it looks like this is running as root because it was able to give me something back before I put even an effort into reading it. Let's go to /root flag.txt and I submit that, and that it didn't like that. Did that just crash? Let's continue. All right, it looks like my application crashed or something like that. Let's cancel. Okay, So root.text crashed my machine, but password gave me this. That's interesting. Let's make sure that we are looking for the right file. Root.text is the name of the file, not flag.txt. Root. What was I looking for? All right, so we get this. Let's just look up binary to text to make sure that it works. Binary to text converter. You can use all kinds of tools out there, but in this case we're just going to convert that, and there we go, we got our flag. Come in, submit this flag, and magic worked. So this was a really fun machine, like I said, and if you like this, please like and subscribe. Subscribe to my channel. I post this regularly, and I'll also do live streams. Otherwise, thank you very much for being here, and I'll see you next time.